Hello and welcome back to another episode of Food Smart's Food for Thought. My name is Aaron. I am the telemedicine program coordinator at Food Smart, and today we are going to be talking about prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. So you've no doubt heard of type 1 and gestational diabetes. There are even different subtypes like 1.5 and 3, but for the sake of brevity, we're going to leave those others off the table for this video and focus strictly on type 2 and prediabetes, since that accounts for over 90% of cases. Before we jump in though, I want to quickly define type 2 and prediabetes. Prediabetes is defined as having a hemoglobin A1C between 5.7 and 6.4, a fasting glucose level between 100 and 125, and or a 2-hour glucose tolerance test between 140 and 199. Type 2 diabetes is what prediabetes becomes if it's untreated, and that is defined as having an A1C of 6.5 or higher, a fasting glucose level above 125, and or a 2-hour glucose tolerance test above 199. So right now, more than 10% of Americans have type 2 diabetes, nearly 35 million people, with another 88 million pre-diabetics trailing behind on their way to developing this disease. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States, which also comes with a staggering price tag for our economy at nearly $330 billion a year. And yet, as alarming as those statistics are, we know that under the right circumstances, it's possible to prevent, arrest, and in many cases reverse the course of this lifestyle-related illness. The decisions that you make every single day around eating, exercising, sleep, and so on largely determine whether or not you would develop diabetes, and if you already have it, whether or not you actually get control. Your genes certainly play a role and influence the process, but to a much lesser extent than your lifestyle behaviors do, and that's important to know. So I'm going to share with you guys some practical and evidence-based tips that you can adopt right now, today, to drastically reduce your risk of developing diabetes and help you get control if you already have it. Number 1, adopt a predominantly whole food plant-based diet. Aim to get the bulk of your daily calories from whole, unprocessed fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, nuts, and seeds. If you do this, you naturally increase your consumption of the foods that protect you from diabetes, not to mention a host of other conditions like heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, and even certain cancers. And you also minimize the foods that actively contribute to diabetes. If you aren't ready to try a plant-predominant diet, try cutting back on foods that are high in saturated and trans fats, as well as processed and refined sources of carbohydrates like soda. Also, remember to check out the Food Smart app for guidance around diabetes-friendly recipes and meal plans. And if your employer offers additional support, take advantage of our telenutrition services, where you get a chance to work one-on-one with a registered dietitian who can actually help you implement these changes safely and effectively. Number 2, lower glucose levels with regular exercise. When you exercise, your hard-working muscles need a lot of glucose to function well, and by doing so on a regular basis, they get better at using that glucose up. The name of the game in diabetes is to get the glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells, and exercise makes that process more efficient, lowering your blood glucose over time and improving your health. Here's a pro tip. If you have a job that requires you to sit for long periods of time, set a reminder on your watch, your phone, or your computer to get up every 30 minutes and move around a little bit. It turns out that long periods of sedentary activity raise our blood glucose and worsen diabetes, so make sure to schedule brief periods of movement throughout your day to break up all that sitting. Number 3, aim to lose 5 to 7% of your body weight or more where appropriate. So in 2010, the CDC conducted a landmark research project called the Diabetes Prevention Program, which discovered that if people with prediabetes were able to lose just 5 to 7% of their body weight by eating better and exercising more, they cut their risk of developing type 2 diabetes by almost 60%. And this was compared to the standard treatment of taking metformin, which only cut the risk by 31%. For context, a 200-pound person would have to lose 10 to 15 pounds and keep it off to achieve all of those benefits. And while there are many ways to lose weight, we certainly recommend you steer clear of fad diets and weight loss gimmicks, as those are notorious for failing to deliver long-term results and can often be quite dangerous. Number 4, get a good night's sleep to increase insulin sensitivity. So this may surprise you, but chronic sleep deprivation substantially increases your risk of developing both pre- and type 2 diabetes. When you skip out on restorative sleep, several things happen. Your muscles and brain become less receptive to insulin, which makes your blood glucose go up. Stress hormones like cortisol become elevated, which makes your blood glucose go up. The appetite-controlling hormones leptin and ghrelin become dysregulated, which makes you eat more and gain weight. You also become much more likely to make poor health-related decisions in general, like smoking, drinking, and not exercising. All of that amounts to a more likely diagnosis of diabetes down the road, or a progression and worsening of disease with hospitalization and complication if you already have the condition. So please, everybody, try to prioritize your sleep. Thanks again for watching Food Smart's Food for Thought, and go ahead and leave us a comment below to let us know if there are other lifestyle and nutrition related topics that you would like us to cover. And we'll see you next time.